Appreciate each one of you being here today. And the first order of the agenda, we will, if you don't mind, bow our heads for a word of prayer. Father, we do come before you today asking for your wisdom and your guidance. We seek this for the people of this state, that we would do their will. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. I want to welcome each committee member here today. I know there's rules going on that I had to cut short and come and get this one started. The Rules Committee, of course, is vital to us. These bills will be moving forward that will go to rules that will set the calendar for the next day. I want to welcome each director of the retirement systems. There are 14 different public retirement system. I know most of you know that, but that's for the ones that might be watching. It is quite a challenge for each one of you directors to keep this in order and make sure that all the funds are available for the teachers and the state employees, firefighters, and others, so that when they do retire, they will be able to draw as long as they need it. I want to introduce my assistant, Sheila Gov. Sheila Gov is awesome. I think all of you know her. She has been in house research for many, many years and been with state government in the upper 20s. I'm not going to say exactly, but she is extremely good and knowledgeable on state government and the retirement system. And I appreciate all she does for me. I could sit here and talk a long time on that. I do have Whitney Vale as my legislative assistant this time. She's an intern. She is a student at Georgia Tech. And this is a learning experience for her, and we're going to make our best to see that not only she helps us, but we educate her a little bit, moving her education along. I want to introduce our legislative counsel, David Mundrick. He draws up our bills. He gets them the way we want them and makes them legal and constitutional, and tremendous help to us, and we could not do without legislative counsel and David Mundrick. Thank you, David. We'll take, I think all of you got bills. We'll not necessarily take the bills in order. The first bill we're going to call up is House Bill 809. Representative David Knight will be talking on this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I come before you again to ask for your favorable consideration of House Bill 809. This is a bill dealing with the Superior Court Clerk's Retirement Fund, and basically this is a bill that got held up in a prior session. We're bringing this bill back before the committee. This bill basically allows persons as of July 1, 06, who were retirees who had elected the survivor's benefit, and then that spouse predeceased the retiree, then we're allowing the retiree to go back and receive the full benefits as of the time that the retirement began. Again, the bill comes before you. We've got the blessing of the Superior Court's Retirement Fund, and there is no physical impact here.
You know, we introduced all these bills for taking up today last year, and they had much debate and all in deciding over the summer where we move them along for an actuarial study or not. So all of us should be pretty well familiar with the bill. Are there any discussion or any questions? Are there a motion?
I'd move for to pass.
Are there a second? A motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, signify yes by raising the right hand. Thank you.
you.
Unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the
Yes.
committee.
Our next bill will be presented by Representative John Yates, House Bill 821.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. House Bill 821 under another number 2 years ago was passed through the House and the Senate and gave out a time, I guess, toward the end through rules and whatever, and did not make it all the way through. So it's the same bill as it was. I don't remember the number at that time. I can read just 2 or 3 lines here from the auditor's statement. It pretty well sums up what the bill does. It amends provision relating to creditable service under the Georgia Judicial Retirement System. It will allow any Superior Court judge or district attorney who is a member of the system to obtain up to 5 years creditable service, and he'll have to pay all the expense of that. This particular one was brought to my attention by a Superior Court judge in the Griffin Judicial Circuit who was assistant district attorney in Spalding County, and then he went into private practice before he became a judge. If he hadn't have done that, then he would have been lined up to go into the system. So this he has to pay this full cost of it not later than December 31st, 2006.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee?
What kind of cost are we talking about?
Pardon?
You'll pull that over to
To the,
There's no cost to the state.
what kind of cost is that to that district attorney or that Superior Court judge?
I
5
don't
years
know what
back
he'd
in
have
it.
to pay. It's whatever the actuarial cost that they would require him to pay to pick up the 5 years.
I've noticed on some of the teachers' retirement paying back that gets kind of expensive. It is? Okay.
Well, he didn't talk to me about he didn't have a reluctance about it. I guess he's prepared to pay it, whatever it is.
They make enough, okay.
Any other
Well,
questions?
I will get into that.
I just have a comment. I'm very familiar. I'm a former assistant district attorney and Superior Court judge, so I'm very familiar with this problem that we do not have any unity in our retirement systems, and there are a lot of people who suffer because of this, and I'm glad to see this bill. I think it's a great thing. I appreciate you bringing it here.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm new to the committee a little bit, so when I look at the letter from the Department of Audits and Accounts, and it has on that back page the
Yes, ma'am.
chart,
Yes, ma'am.
just for my orientation, when it says the unfunded actuarial accrued liability before and after legislation, would that be the 53,811? Is that the amount the individual would pay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then the cost to the state would be in that final column if it said increased cost due to legislation. I just want to
Let me refer
understand
to
that.
Mr. Neff if he'll take a microphone right there. And John, if you'll let him sit there a minute. I'm sorry, we're limited on the seating and microphones. If you can help her with this answer.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. That number 53,811 actually represents in thousands of $53.8 million. And because it's in brackets, it's if it weren't in brackets, it would be an unfunded liability to the system. But because it's in brackets, it means we're overfunded in the JRS system by $53.8 million. So it's not any cost related to the particular member, but rather it's a financial picture of the retirement system as of June 30, 04.
Okay.
So the unfunded liability is actually negative, meaning we're overfunded by $53.8 million. I think about 127% is our funded percentage. So we're actually a very well-funded retirement system. Because of the legislation, there is no change in that unfunded number, so that it has no ultimate cost to the system.
Any other questions of him before we move? Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Representative Yates, if you want to come back.
I would move a due pass.
We'll get to that. Are there any other discussion?
Trying to find.
Get the camera, get the microphone.
I see now.
Get the microphone
Can walk me through this.
out there. Just cut her on there, good. We want everyone to hear it.
To, at this time, pay tribute to the directors of the retirement systems and their boards on the investment of the funds so that we can have if all of you are doing like I'm doing and reading the papers about private industry and the retirement systems and how they're suffering, it gives me great pride that the state retirement systems are as well funded, and I think that's because of the prudent investments that have been made. Thank you.
There's no doubt about it, and thank you, Representative Cumming. That's a great statement. They work hard, and we work hard to make sure these retirement committees stay vested good. Are there any other questions from Representative Yates?
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion on this bill, House Bill 821?
I'll move a due pass.
Are there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, I'll vote by signifying your right hand. Any opposed? So passed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next bill we'll call is House Bill 476. Representative Musford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would you like me to go down there to move
You're
this?
all right.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen of the committee, 476 is a bill that I brought on behalf of the Superior Court Clerks Retirement Fund. This bill is actually recommended in the actuarial study. It's suggested that it will be very helpful to the pension fund of the clerks. It involves the clerks being required to pay an additional $25 per month toward their retirement, and it raises a fee on real estate transactions, which was established, I believe, last changed rather in 1985. It raises it by 50 cents, from 50 cents to $1. This does not have any expense to the state. I'll be glad to accept any questions. Woodson Daniel is here on this. If I can't answer it, I'm sure he can. Joanne Caldwell, Clerk of Rockdale County, is here if there's any questions for either of them about it.
Are there any questions from any of the members? If not, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Are there a second?
Second.
All in favor by signifying your right hand? And any opposed? I believe it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Next one will be also from Representative Musford, House Bill 391.
This bill was brought on behalf of the Public Defenders Council. It provides that a circuit public defender can elect to go into the Georgia Judicial Retirement System. It does not have any financial impact, as it's sort of a pay-as-you-go thing. Those persons who are currently public defenders must make an election. They can either stay in the ERS or go into the judicial retirement system at their election. That may vary from individual to individual. There are very few people actually affected by this bill at the current time. Ms. Cindy Wang is here from the Public Defenders Council. If there are any questions that I can't answer, I'm sure she can answer them for us. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the committee? If no questions, do I hear a motion? Do I hear a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed? Likewise. Motion passed. Now we have a presentation that's going to take about 5 minutes, and I would like for Jim Maynard to present, give a presentation in reference to firefighters. And while we're doing this, the next 4 bills we'll be taking up will be addressing the firefighters fund. And he has a presentation he would like to make, and Representative Cumming would like the presentation before we take the bills up. Mr. Maynard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I asked the chairman to give me just a few minutes to speak to the committee about the Georgia Firefighters Pension Fund. Back in 1955, Governor Marvin Griffin signed House Bill 418, which formed the Georgia Firefighters Pension Fund. In July of that year, we opened for business and began serving the Georgia firefighters with a pension benefit of $50 a month on retirement. The following year, we issued the first 24 checks to Georgia firefighters who retired with their benefit. The very first check went to Bill Hagans, who was 77 years old. He had 49 years of service in the fire department, which was a real noble accomplishment of the General Assembly and in the Firefighters Pension Fund. At that time, dues for the firefighters was $5 a month to join the pension fund. The benefit was $50 a month. And the tax that we received for the insurance that was granted to the pension fund was $23,000 a year. Part of the reason for the pension fund being structured the way it was to encourage fire departments to upgrade their systems. So we had fire classes 1 through 8 were the ones that were allowed to join the pension fund. And I'll make that point to sort of embellish a little bit later in the presentation and discussion. But today, what we have in the pension fund is a benefit that is slated at $824 a month for firefighters on the basic benefit. We average paying them $650 a month. We collect nearly $18 million a year. We pay out over $16 million a year to firefighters. We have almost 2,800 retirees that we support and 15,000 members in the pension fund. It's truly a success story because we've held dues to $15 a month for our firefighters. And we really appreciate all of this work that we've done. The accomplishment is through the efforts of this committee and the members of the pension fund. We have some bills that we are presenting today. Well, let me back up. We commemorated the 50 years of the pension fund this summer with presentation at the Georgia Firefighters Joint Convention in Valdosta. And a part of that commemoration was a commemorative cup, which we're real proud to leave with you gentlemen and ladies today, commemorating 50 years of service to Georgia Firefighters Pension Fund. And we're real pleased to ask you to accept this as a memento for the 50 years of work that you and your predecessors have done for the Georgia Firefighters Pension Fund in support of what we do and how we serve our firefighters. The Firefighters Pension Fund is separated into 2 pieces, firefighters and the Class 9 firefighters. Class 9 is the very, very rural pension fund. We're very, very rural firefighters around the state. When firefighters were formed, again, I mentioned that they were formed in order to encourage departments to upgrade their service. So the Class 9 firefighters were excluded initially for the first 45 years of our history. In year 2000, the Class 9 department was formed in order to go ahead and begin to serve the Class 9 firefighters. They were formed as a separate fund in order to determine whether or not they would dilute the larger fund. To date, we've only gotten 230, 235 firefighters that have joined the Class 9 fund because when it was formed with no assets, and so the benefit was determined to be very low. They're all volunteers. Firefighters are unique to the extent that as public servants, we are predominantly volunteers. So volunteers tend to be a little bit transient. They tend not to make all of the stringent requirements that are required to join the fire fund, the pension fund. So part of our proposals among these bills that we're going to propose today are to combine the 2 pension funds to increase the benefits available to volunteers in the Class 9 departments and reduce that benefit. So that's the presentation, is to help you understand why we have some of these bills on target, as well as to recognize 50 years of service to the fire department and the firefighters by this committee, as well as by the pension fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now I want to call on the former chairman of this committee, Representative Bill Cummings, to introduce the bills and, to talk on the bills in any particular order he wishes to call them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to take them up in the numerical order in which they're on the paper. Thank you, Mr. Bernard, and I'll be asking you to help in this presentation. The bills before you are the outgrowth of a request by the fund board that was to upgrade the fund to these particular bills. When I was elected to the legislature 26 years ago and became a member of the retirement system, one of the retirement systems that we have that got the most controversial discussion at members was firefighters pension fund. The outgrowth of many years of work is in this particular bill, and that's the Class 9 firefighters fund. House Bill 344, and if you'll look at the bill in the yellow sheet in the back, which is the summary of the bills, well, then I'm going to be as brief as possible and then ask you if you want to discuss that particular bill.
So we're taking up
344.
All right.
This bill reduces to 1 year from 7 years the service requirement to begin earning pension creditable service for firefighters who have previously retired and elect to return to full-time or volunteer duty with the fire service.
Are there any questions from the committee? If there's no questions, no other discussion, all in favor by the right hand? I'm sorry, we need a motion. We got a motion and a second. All in favor by the right hand? Thank you. And, any opposed? Thank you. Bill passed. Representative Cummings, next bill.
House Bill 357. This bill proposes to increase the benefit level of Class 9 participants on retirement from the current $185 to $500 if needed. The Class 9 fund is not merged with the firefighters fund. And I might say to start with, before we conclude, is that there is no cost to the state treasury on the bills that I'm bringing before you. The cost is borne by the assets of the retirement system through investments and through membership dues and through the insurance premium tax.
Any questions?
Sure.
Yes.
You mentioned public aid.
We have had two cost of living increases since the bill was originally drafted.
The benefit level was set artificially low initially at $165 until some experience could be established, and we bring that to you with good experience and the fact that that the funds are there to pay the increased benefit.
Representative James, any further question? Any other questions? Then I'll ask for a motion. And a second.
Second.
All in favor, if there's no further discussion, lift your right hand. All opposed, likewise.
Thank you. The next bill will be House Bill 660 by substitute. This bill has two parts also. This bill proposes to authorize the Board of Trustees to grant up to 24 months of pension creditable service to firefighter pension participants who are called into active duty of the armed services of our country and who keep up their dues while they're in this armed service. I would request that you give favorable consideration to this bill.
Any questions from the author of the bill? They'll motion by substitute. They are. Second. All in favor, lift the right hand. And opposed, thank you. Thank you.
And the last bill is House Bill 749 by substitute. And we've been acting on some bills with the assumption that we're going to merge the Class 9 fund with the firefighters' pension fund. This bill does the merging, gives the authority to merge the Class 9 participants in with the regular membership of the firefighters' pension fund. And as Mr. Bernard said, as of to date, and this fund's been in existence about 6 years. About 6 years. Only 240 have joined, and we think that the best thing for a firefighter to do is belong to the pension fund, and to encourage that membership, we're proposing that they be merged with the general membership fund.
Are there any questions for Mr. Cummings? All right, do I hear a motion? And a second. All in favor by the uplift of your right hand? Any opposed likewise? Motion carried.
And if any of the members of the fund are watching on television right now, we want you to tell your legislators that you're pleased that they're concerned about you.
And I thank you for those 4 bills.
Thank
I'd
you,
like
sir.
to say right now for the audience that the reason there wasn't a lot of discussion is we've discussed these things last summer thoroughly and also had input from the public. So it's not a cut and dried issue as it seems. We've just went over these bills and are very knowledgeable and know what we want to do with them.
Mr. Chairman, can I say one other thing?
One short thing.
I want to, the Fireman's Pension Fund has recently moved its office to my home county, Rockdale County, and I want to take this opportunity to welcome Pension Fund to Rockdale County. And we're very excited to have you down there, and we know you'll be a great citizen and help to us down there. Thank you very much.
I want to say that's only for 1 year because we need them up in Habersham next.
Thank you, Representative. We're real pleased to be there.
And thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, ladies.
Next on the agenda is House Bill 251, and that's a bill that I'm sponsoring, and I want to get Mr. Bob Carter or Judy Green one that might explain it. If they'll come, are they here? If they'll come to the thing and explain it, they can do it a little bit better than I.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What 251 does currently under the probate judge's retirement fund, they can only name a spouse as a remainder beneficiary when they choose retirement time. 251 allows them to name someone other than a spouse. There's no cost to the state and there's no cost to the fund because the cost will be borne by the participant. This came out of a need for some of our probate judges that don't have a spouse but had some adult children that had some learning disabilities and some physical handicaps. And they needed to provide for them for future benefits. And so what this would do would be based on the participant's age and the beneficiary's age, the actuarial equivalent amount of money. And so that's why there's no cost to the fund, only to the participant. These same benefits are already available in a lot of the other retirement systems where that you don't have to name just a spouse, you can name someone else. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
And all in favor by the uplift of the right hand? Thank you. Unanimous. Thank
On
you.
behalf of the probate judges, we thank you.
Thank you. Now, David, if you'll move over there, or you can explain. They get the picture from there? All right. Thank you very much. We're trying to accommodate internet. Thank you very much. And now I want, we got sort of an emergency bill that we had to move into this, and David will explain why we had to do this. Now, this is not one we went over, but it's no cost. So, David. Yes, the bill is being handed out now, so you'll be able to look, and we'll take all the questions and take our time, but it is something that is, well, 11 people are going to lose their retirement if we don't pass this bill because of the driver's license department being shifted And this is solely, we've got to take care of these 11 people. So, David, if you will, explain the bill to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill was necessary because last year the General Assembly abolished the Department of Motor Vehicle Safety and created the Department of Driver Services. And a number, I think it's only 11 law enforcement officers were transferred to the new Department of Driver Services. I get them confused. In the employees' retirement system, it really doesn't matter because it's just going from one state agency to another, and so they remain members. But the Peace Officers Annuity and Benefit Fund is a secondary retirement system. It's not a full retirement system. It's a secondary retirement system, and it's for law enforcement officers. And they are more restrictive in their membership. You have to be a law enforcement officer, and you have to be employed in certain positions under the code. Well, the Department of Driver Services is not one of those positions because it's a new agency, and these people were moved over by operational law, and by being moved over, they were moved out of the Peace Officers Annuity and Benefit Fund. This is a fiscal bill, which means that it would take 2 years to pass, which for our purposes would be 3 years. It could be introduced next year and then passed the following year. So these people would have lost 3 or 4 years of their retirement that way. What Chairman decided to do was find a fiscal bill that was probably not going to move and do a substitute, and thereby kind of short circuit because of the emergency nature of this. It will require a certification from the state auditor that as to the nature of the bill, and it will require a review by the actuary, just as if it had been introduced last year. So all of the procedures will be followed, but it's just a little bit faster. This bill, because of the emergency nature, as I said, it is drafted so that it applies only to those people who were transferred over. Next year, the committee will probably want to come back and do a little cleanup. There are a couple of other provisions that need to be touched up too because of the creation of that new department. But for right now, this bill will allow those 11 members, 11 law enforcement officers rather, who were transferred to the new agency to remain members of the Peace Officers Annuity and Benefit Fund.
Any questions? Yes.
Good. Mr. Chairman, looks like the state has dropped the ball. Looks like the state kind of dropped the ball when we went and merged the system, changed the system there. What happens if this bill is, we can pass this here today, but the auditors have to approve it, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, we're going to pass it with their approval.
With that, but if they don't approve, is my concern right now, where do we stand? Because these people should not be.
This is passed by substitute pending certification. So if they don't certify it, this is no good.
That's my question.
Well, I might add, Representative, that we've actually done our homework on this. We've laid the groundwork, and we have all the confidence that the actuary is going to give us the right figures. We've talked to the actuary basically, and so we are confident that this bill is okay as it's drafted. In fact, that's why it was drafted to narrow it down only to those officers who are currently affected. The actuary has indicated that this bill will, in fact, pass muster.
But if it doesn't,
Or if it doesn't,
come back and try something else.
Be too late. This is the only way we got.
But it's our fault.
Well, and we're trying to take care of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, where did these peace officers, what county did they come from?
They come to the state. They are,
Okay, but
the agency.
where they was certain,
Here in Atlanta area.
Probably in Rockdale County.
Rockdale County.
Most of them
Well,
live in Rockdale County.
11 different ones.
The office was in
And-
Rockdale County.
That's what I'm
Mr. Bob
alluding
Carter
to.
can probably address that right easy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Coach Williams, you're exactly right. And Mr. Munford, they were all employees already of the Department of Motor Vehicle Safety, and most of them lived out in the Rockdale County area. And what this new department is specifically, they investigate driver's license fraud. And so and why there's no cost, these 11 people were already members of the fund. So there'd be no cost to the fund because they were already there. Because that's already been accounted for.
And they may be residents out there, but they could have been hired from anywhere in the state, so we don't really know where they come from.
Correct.
Yes. Are there any further questions from either one of the two? If there's no other discussion, do I hear a motion? And second. All in favor by the uplifted right hand? Motion carried, no opposition. Does that take care? There's one further thing I think Kelly, is she still here? Want to make sure that all of us, we appreciate you. You left me so quick that this committee did not have time to say bye. You are terrific. Kelly's got a great job, and we hope she'll do well in the future. Thank you, Kelly. Okay, our regular meeting time will be on Wednesdays at 3 o'clock here in this room. We'll probably have at least one more meeting. That'll be probably Wednesday week. We'll be out next week. And of course, any bills that have been before us that has money that's going to cost, if you'll get the money put in the budget, we'll do our best to bring it forth. Otherwise, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Russell, could I see you in the field?